G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Level Up. We are back in the shed this afternoon for another cracking solo episode. Look, today's episode I really wanted to do, I've been wanting to talk about this for a little while, but it's all to do with, I'm sick and tired of hearing everybody, the media, the government, a lot of shit on social media about the cost of building. So I've done some homework for this podcast today and got some data and some numbers for you, because I think when you actually start looking at facts, reality hits home. And it's like, as with most things, the media's generally not correct with what they're throwing around out there. So you've heard me bang on a lot on this podcast about the cost of building, and my belief is that the cost of building has continued to rise since the day that the first hammer was made and swung to hit a nail in. It will always continue to rise. It's just what happens. Everything in life increases, as I'm about to give you some examples. But the other thing that doesn't get spoken about is people's expectations. And expectations it's actually that's at the core. That's what's really driving the cost of building. But we'll jump into it a bit more detail. So I've actually, before I get into my stats, so what I've actually done, I've had our accounts manager actually go and pull all the data out of two of our projects. So one project, so both projects are very identical, very similar size square meters, both 3-story homes, both on very steep, difficult blocks of land, both architecturally designed, both with a very, very similar level of finish. So I thought, what a perfect opportunity. So the first house, perfect opportunity to give you some true, real data. So what I did was got her to go back. So one of the houses we built, or we completed the home in 2010, and the other one we completed in late 2024 or very early 2025. So 15 years apart. But these are actual costs. So this is real data from my building business. It's not quotes or anything we've done. This is actual real data. So finished cost. I'm looking forward to getting into that with you, because it's pretty eye-opening. But before I did that, I just wanted to, set the tone for this podcast with some real examples. So what I did, I jumped on Google and ChatGTP, and I've actually done a bit of homework and got a few things here for you just to set the tone of this podcast. So what I did, and I've done all this based on Brisbane. So in Brisbane in 2010, the average cost, the medium house price, was $460,000. In 2025, the median house price is $1,090,000. In 2010, the average cost of unleaded fuel was $1.21. In 2025, the average cost of a litre of unleaded fuel is $1.91. In 2010, the average household, or the average individual wage in Brisbane was $52,000. Now in 2025, it actually didn't give me a single number. The average salary or wage for a single person is between $80,000 and $100,000. In 2010, here in Brisbane, the average cost for a family of 4 for groceries each week was $204. The average cost for a family of 4 groceries in 2025 is $270. I think that one's a fair bit out. I know our family spends a lot more than that on groceries, but anyway, this is what Google's given me. The next one I have for you is the average hourly rate for a construction worker in Brisbane in 2010 was $38. Now in 2025, it's $55. This last one I've got before I move on to the cost of building, for me, says a lot about how much we've changed in the last 15 years. And especially in the generations and our expectations around how we live our life and living beyond our means. Because what ChatGPT and Google said to me when I asked them, what was the average weekly spend on eating out and entertainment for the average family in 2010? It was $95. Now in 2025, the average spend for a family each week for eating out and entertainment is $455. So look, everything else on that list that I just went through was pretty much bang on double. So in the last 15 years, the median house price has increased a bit over double. The average, or the general wage, has increased a bit over double. The cost of groceries, not quite double. The hourly rate for workers, not quite double. But the cost of living and what people are spending and living beyond their means is almost quadrupled. So I just wanted to use those to set the tone for what I'm going to go through now. So what I've done here, as I said before, I've got 2 jobs, very, very similar, but 15 years apart. And the reason I wanted to talk through this is there's multiple reasons. Number one is I'm sick and tired of just all the media about the cost of housing, because it is far, far more than just cost increasing. As I said, people's expectations are completely different from 15 years ago to what they are now. Another huge thing that isn't getting spoken about enough is efficiencies and the amount of work that gets done on a daily basis. And I really think this is hurting every single one of us. It's costing all of us a lot of money because of inefficiencies and nowhere near the like people just aren't putting the same output as they did in the past. And there's a few reasons for this. Like I believe there's very few people that show up to work these days with intent. They don't show up with the intent to get a lot done. They don't show up with structure to get a lot done. They don't show up with a game plan for the day. I know back in the day when, well, even now, like nothing's really changed, but back in the day when I was on the tools, every single day, driving to work or even driving home in the afternoon, I would be planning my next day, or in the morning, I'm planning that day. And in my mind, I knew exactly what I would get done for the day. And so many times I would have a team meeting with my team, and sometimes I'd think I was crazy, but it was efficient. We had a plan, we executed, and we got it done. 9 times out of 10, we actually got more done than what I had planned. Whereas what I see happening a lot these days, and on my own projects, I talk to my supervisors about on a daily basis, is we set plans, we set schedules, we set targets, and very, very rarely do they get executed. We're always having to manipulate things, push things around, move things, because the output and the work isn't getting done as efficiently as it used to. And look, this isn't just me talking about this. Every single builder I talk to is complaining about this. Every single contractor I talk to is complaining about this. Every single employer I'm talking to is complaining about this. And at the end of the day, that is all costing us a lot of money. And so it's another reason that I've been thinking about this for a few weeks and how I could do it. And then I was just thinking about all of what we used to do in the past, and it just came to me a few nights ago about a job we've recently finished and a job we did 15 years ago and how similar they were. And I thought, what an incredible opportunity to actually, we track all that data, we keep it all. So what an incredible opportunity to actually go back and compare some numbers. And what really surprised me by going through this is any items that were just supply haven't actually increased the double that it appears that most things have doubled in the last 15 years. The percentage increase wasn't that much, but everything that includes labour has increased a lot. So I'll start running through a few. So The first one, and this is just the way that the spreadsheet's been worked out in alphabetical order. The first one is carpentry labour. So like I said, these two particular jobs were very, very similar in square meterage, very similar in detail, all lightweight claddings on the outside, all a carpentry internal fit out, hanging the doors and all those sorts of things. We've always done our internal fit outs the same way, like we hang our own doors, we fit our own hinges, we don't get any pre-hung rubbish. So very, very similar jobs. And the other thing to, I guess, just point out before I go into these numbers is all of these numbers are excluding GST. I don't like to work like that, but I know most people do, and that's how our software spat this out. So the job from 2010, the total amount of carpentry labour on the job was 94,834. For the carpentry labour on the project in 2025 is 160,497. So not quite double, but very close to it. So again, you can see that so many figures that I just talked about were almost double, and it seems to be the same with carpentry labour. So that obviously has a bit to do with the hourly rates going up, but that also has a lot to do with the job just taking a lot longer to do than what it did 15 years ago. And you'll see there's a pretty clear pattern with a lot of these, like with that double figure. So the next one's electrician. So and this is only electrician's labour. This doesn't include electrical fittings. So electrician's labour for our job in 2010 was 24,676. Our electrician's labour in 2025 is 50,168. So again, like pretty much that one's pretty much bang on, double. The next one I have which I think is another really good one. This one was actually quite surprising, to be honest. The next one is exterior soffites and cladding. So as I said, both homes, lightweight cladding, FC products, and again, almost identical. The one in 2010 had a lot of 6mm FC with timber cover battens, quite a bit of matrix cladding, and some weatherboard. The one we finished in 2025, it's very similar. It had some flat 6mm FC with timber cover battens, and then pretty much the majority of the job was weatherboard. And this is materials only. So all the cladding for our job in 2010 was 13,799. All the cladding and soffit materials on our 2025 project was $37,047. So that one is pretty much bang on triple the price. So yeah, obviously cladding and soffit materials have had a huge price increase in the last 15 years. The next one, which again is a material one, and I hope you guys start to see some correlation with this, because when I was sitting down and going through this, and I don't know if you can see my sheet on here, but like I've literally got 2 pages of numbers. So I've got a lot of data on here, but I've just gone through to pull out some ones that are pretty common and people will understand. But when I was going through and just highlighting them, because they're not all in the exact same layout, it blew my mind a little bit just how the double and the triple worked. And this next one's a perfect example. So we just did external cladding materials, and it was pretty much bang on triple. The next one is your internal fit out gear. So this is all your architraves, skirtings, door jambs, your internal doors. And again, these jobs were very, very similar. So actually both of them had 62 by 19, just pencil round architraves, 116 by 19 pencil round skirtings, and flush doors. They did have the door handles was slightly different. 15 years ago, we were still using quite a bit old school knobs and things. The newer jobs got the levers, but all the internal fit out gear Actually, and just to clarify this a little bit more, this doesn't include shelving, because on pretty much every job we do, we get Civic or our cabinet makers do the rope shelving. So in the job on 2010, all the internal fit out materials were $5,605. In 2025, $15,795. So look, you're going to see as we go through this, like, people are complaining that the cost of building is going up and builders are making a fortune. And yes, I can understand how they see that, because builders, to run a successful business, we're charging a percentage on the total job cost. And so obviously, if everything's going up, if everything across the board's going up, then as builders, we're going to earn more money as well. But what people don't understand with that is, the higher the dollar cost of the job, the more risk and the more liability that we have as builders. So it's only fair that we earn more money to make sure that we cover insurances and all that other costs that go with it. But the next one on my list, which I thought was actually good, was the framing material. So we've always done stick frames. So both these jobs were all stick frame. They all had ply bracing sheets, or they both had ply bracing sheets. They both had 2 levels of subfloor systems, so all your bearers and joists, and they both used yellow tongue flooring. So again, very, very similar. The frame in 2010 was $45,665. All the framing material in 2025 was $77,701. So that is one of the only things on this list. So that's only an increase of $30,000. So I'm not sure what the percentage is there, but nowhere near double or triple like some of these other costs. This next one is like, I hate insurance. I hate how builders have to pay insurance on the works we do. I get that we need to pay it. I think it's a good thing that we need to pay it, but I can't stand how it's worked out. I'm not sure about other states of Australia, but in Queensland, the way that we pay our insurance levies on our projects is an absolute rort, and this proves it. So I can't remember what it was actually called back in 2010. It was different to what it is now, but the home warranty insurance that we paid on our job back in 2010, and obviously the dollar value was different. So actually, to, I guess, give you the total cost of the jobs, the 2010 job was just under $800,000. The 2025 job was just over $2 million. So again, we're just over double. But the home warranty insurance that we paid on the job in 2010 was $2,577. The insurance we paid on the 2025 job was $16,469. So as homeowners, like this is things that we need to educate the homeowners and the clients that we work for, because that is a government body, and that has increased by just over 6 times. Like it's a 6 multiplier in 15 years. And as homeowners, like, we have to pay that to be able to build homes for you. So, like, again, everyone's banging on about the cost of building. Some of the government, the compulsory government charges that we have to pay to be able to build homes are the things that have increased the most in the construction industry. The next one's a supply and labour one, so painting. So again, very similar size homes. The painting, our painting contractor's invoice in 2010 was $24,352. The painting in 2025 is $58,654. So that's, again, a bit over double. The next one we're going to talk about is plumbing, and this one This one actually surprised me a bit. I thought it would have been increased by a little bit more. So this one is plumbing labour and materials for hot and cold water and plumbing stacks. Doesn't include all your plumbing fixtures, toilets, taps and all those types of things. But our plumbing invoice from our contractor in 2010 was $19,796. Our plumbing contractor's invoice in 2025 and is $31,569. And just to give you a little bit more detail on that one, that is the exact same amount of bathrooms, laundries, kitchens, the exact same amount of plumbing fixtures. So that is just a pure increase in labour and materials to install those items. This next one blew me away a little bit. So in 2010, we roofed the entire house. So all your roofing battens, your anti-con blanket, your roof sheeting, your barge caps, all your flashings, your fascia and gutter, everything for $12,596. In 2025, almost the exact same square meterage and size project. The cost for those same items from our roofing contractor is $33,573. So triple. Like, that's another one of those triple. So basically in 15 years, the cost to do a roof has tripled. The next one, it's only a small one, but I just wanted to throw it in here just to give you some idea, was the internal stairs. So like I said before, they were both difficult homes on 3-story homes on a difficult site. But again, they both had very similar sets of stairs. So 2010, the internal polished grade timber stairs were $5,428. In 2025, they're $9,200. Only got 2 more to go for you, but I hope this is giving you a good indication of where we sit with our costings. And like I said, this is real data. This is the shit that I don't see anybody else on social media, on real media, in our industry talking about. This is real data from 2 projects, actual cost. The next one is a massive one, and it's windows. So in 2010, and look, on this one, I'll tolerate it a little bit because windows have definitely changed a lot. But in 2010, we paid $25,576 for all the external windows, sliding doors, front door, and everything on this project. In 2025, we paid $113,817. And look, I get that. The 2025 job did have a huge 12-metre sliding door in there. But apart from that, all the other windows were very similar. Both jobs had a lot of louvers. Both jobs had multiple sliding doors. And both jobs had a lot of double hung windows. So I actually, when I went back and went back through our Google Drive and pulled out the plans and compared these 2 jobs, I was actually quite blown away how similar they were. And the last one I was just going to talk to you about was joinery. So again, very, very similar sized kitchens, bathrooms. The list of joinery items was almost identical. So kitchen, pantry, vanities, robes. They both had a media room figure in there because they both had cabinets in the media room. And they both had like shaving cabinets and things in the wet areas. So the 2010 job was $48,648. The joinery in the 2025 job was $124,800. So yeah, 2.5 times the cost. So look, guys, that's the end of my list. I've got hundreds of items on here I could go through, but they're the main ones, and they're the ones that a lot of people can relate to. There was a couple more that I'd really like to go through. Like I really wanted to go through and talk about footings and slab, just to compare concreting rates and things. But I may do that in the future. But the way we used to price our jobs and collateral our data back in 2010 compared to now made it a lot harder for those ones. But overall, you can see that the cost, even though there's so much talk in our industry about the costs has increased dramatically and people can't afford houses and all those types of things, no, we need to talk about what reality is, and that is that, as you can see from everything I've just gone through, in the last 15 years here in Brisbane, I'm basing all my data on Brisbane, southeast Queensland in Australia, everything on average has doubled in cost. And even though the cost of building has a bit over doubled, everyone's wages has doubled. But what people, as I've pointed out, what people are spending on entertainment and eating out has quadrupled. So people shouldn't be complaining about the cost of housing, because you can't have both. If you want to be out every second night of the week, eating out, having takeaway, catching up with friends, going to shows, movies, all those types of things, but you also want to be able to have a brand new 4-bedroom house, 2 garage, 3 bathroom, then you've either got to work harder, get a better job that's going to pay you more, or you've got to live within your means. The other thing that I really wanted to point out, as I said at the beginning of this podcast, is the efficiencies. Like, a lot of those costs that I've just gone through, some materials have, as I pointed out, some materials have either doubled or tripled, but a lot of it is labour. And with the labour, it's far more to do than just the cost of the labour. It's all the inefficiencies. We need our teams on site showing up with more intent. And I think, look, I've had a few bad days in the last few days. I've really taken it personally that my team aren't quite getting done the amount of work that I expect to get done. And I've had a few tough conversations with both my supervisors. And I think at the end of the day, we need to start showing them more. Like, we can't just keep talking about it. We've actually got to get on the tools and show them, this is how you get it done. This is how you plan your day. And look, I'm not sure what's going on, if it's in the water we're drinking or whatever, but something that's probably disheartened me a lot lately is even the older guys that have been taught hard, that got driven like I did when I was an apprentice, they seem to be slowing down as well, and they're not setting an example for the younger guys that are coming through. So we now have these younger guys that just have these expectations of what amount of work gets done each day. And look, for me, it breaks my heart for the homeowners. Like, it's all good to run an efficient business and track all our data, but at the end of the day, we can't just keep increasing our prices to cover inefficiencies and people not working appropriately and getting enough done on our job site. So look, I think I'm sure this podcast is going to stir up a can of worms. I think these are discussions that need to be had, because the slower we get on site, it's just adding to the cost of building homes, and sooner or later something's going to have to give. Either people's expectations have got to come back down, or people need to just start paying more. They need to realise that it just costs what it costs. But we can't just keep banging on about the cost of building and not actually deep diving into why the cost of building is what it is. So yeah, look, hopefully I've given you some good advice today, or some good knowledge. Like I said, this is real data. Like, this is data from 2 houses, 15 years apart, very, very similar. And like I say all the time, the numbers don't lie. That's the facts. Like, that is what it is. So guys, look, hope you've liked this podcast. If you've got any more questions, or there's any other can of worms you want me to open, make sure you reach out. As always, like, share, subscribe. If you haven't been to my website yet, DuaynePearce.com, checked out all of our merch, make sure you jump on there and grab it so that you can be wearing it around and you can help me on my mission to create a new building industry. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Are you ready to build smarter, live better, and enjoy life? Then head over to livelifebuild.com/elevate to get started.
Everything discussed during the Level Up podcast with me, Duayne Pearce, is based solely on my own personal experiences and those experiences of my guests. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. We recommend that you obtain your own professional advice in respect to the topics discussed during this podcast.